All of Seinfeld's characters had their moments being terrible, but no one topped George Costanza when it came to bad behaviors. Over the course of the show's 9 seasons, George schemed, plotted, and schmoozed his way into and out of all kinds of nasty situations.
I'm disturbed. I'm depressed. I'm inadequate. I got it all!
And while Seinfeld might have been a show about nothing, George's actions had some pretty major consequences from time to time. Here's a look at some of the worst things he ever did. Dishonoring the deceased. Even though he desperately wanted to get out of his impending marriage to Susan, George didn't kill his fiancée. It was the toxic glue from the wedding invitation envelopes that he picked out that took her down. That's bad enough. But George's reaction to learning of Susan's demise is pretty gross, even for him.
She expired.
Are you sure?
And years later, his doctor recalled his reaction as less than remorseful.
I would describe it as restrained jubilation.
In fact, his first real order of business is to call up Marissa Tomei, whom he's already tried to cheat on Susan with, and announce his new availability.
I've got the funeral tomorrow, but my weekend is pretty wide open.
Faking a handicap. George often had trouble landing and keeping jobs, so when the opportunity to work at a company called Play Now came along, he didn't mind using a little fraudulence to secure the gig. See, George had been temporarily injured from a slip and fall, so he'd been using a cane for walking support. When he shows up to the interview but is clearly the lesser qualified candidate, the execs take pity on him and offer him the job and his own handicap-accessible bathroom, because they think the cane means he's actually disabled. Soon, he's taking the custom lift instead of the stairs, and fellow employees even carry him to his office. After he sprains his good leg, Play Now offers a motorized cart, which he eagerly accepts. Eventually, all the line catches up to him, because when he finds himself on the wrong end of a motorized cart chase, he has to leap to his feet to run away and blows his own cover. Out of the way. George was always pretty lousy to his significant others, but in Season 5's The Fire, his awfulness reaches his lady friend's family too. In the episode, he's dating a woman named Robin, whose son is having a birthday party. Obviously, George takes the opportunity to pick a fight with the birthday clown over his knowledge of circus icon history.
All right, go fold your little balloon animals, Eric. Eric. What kind of name is that for a clown, huh?
But that's just where he starts. After a small fire breaks out in the kitchen, George totally freaks out and sends everyone into a panic by yelling fire. As he bolts for the door, he shoves everyone out of his way, including little kids and Robin's elderly mother.
It was an inferno in there! An inferno! There he is! That's him!
Naturally, Robin dumps George. He does try to defend himself by saying he was just making sure the exit was clear, which convinces exactly 0 people.
How do you live with yourself?
It's not easy.
Tugging the IV. When George meets Danielle, a woman who's way out of his league but claims to have a boyfriend who looks just like him, only less fit, George becomes obsessed. Not just with Danielle, but with getting a glimpse of her boyfriend Neil. Thanks to a subplot involving Kramer and explosive crepes, when George does finally see Neil, his face is all bandaged up. Danielle has decided to stay with Neil on account of his injuries.
I win.
Since he doesn't get the girl, or a good glimpse at his look-alike, he decides to punish Neil by removing his IV drip on the way out of the hospital. Real nice. Faking a charity. George isn't just a self-righteous creep, he's also a notorious cheapskate, and his miserliness gets him in trouble in the Season 9 episode, The Strike. As the holidays roll in, George decides that instead of giving actual presents, he'll hand out cards, letting his co-workers know who he's made a donation in their name to.
The Human Fund. Money for people.
That might seem nice, but
A donation has been made in your name to the Human Fund. What is that?
Made it up.
it isn't a real charity. But it is a great way for George to get credit for gift giving without having to pay a cent. Of course, like most of George's schemes, it backfires. When his boss tries to make a donation to the Human Fund, he learns the charity is fraudulent, and George has to cover by bringing his superior to the Costanza family's annual Festivus celebration. But amazingly, George's terrible fictional thriftiness did have a real-world impact. After the episode, an actual organization called the Human Fund launched to do all the good works George said they would.
It's a Festivus miracle!
Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.